Every parent knows how important it is to get their child off to a healthy start in life. This DVD will help you explore many different aspects of your child's foot care, from a young baby to their first steps and beyond. Soft, squeezable and helplessly kissable baby feet aren't just a mini version of adult feet. They're not fully formed at birth and have lots of growing stages to go through before they can do any of the things that grown-ups' feet can do. We are going to show you the amazing journey your child's feet will make as they get ready for grown-up life. Feet are one of the few parts of the human body that are not fully formed at birth. Your baby's feet are still a work in progress. They look triangular with a narrow heel and square scrunched up toes. While an adult foot has 26 bones, your baby has just 22 bone beginnings, all soft and undefined, more like cartilage than bone. By about 6 months, their feet are still very bendy and soft, but some of the bone beginnings are starting to harden or ossify. Round the time that your baby takes their first steps, their rapidly growing feet now have 25 identifiable bones, but still with large gaps in between and a nice protective pad of fat, particularly on the instep. Soon they will be ready to take their first steps in the big wide world. Toddlers' feet continue to change and reshape, but still they are surprisingly soft and vulnerable. Poorly fitting shoes could easily push them out of shape without them feeling any pain at all. Between the ages of 3 and 4, their feet are now more like yours. They have lost some puppy fat and have a visible arch, but still growing at a rapid rate of almost 2 shoe sizes a year. And each foot has 45 bone centers, more than at any other time of their life. By 5, things start to slow, perhaps down to 1 shoe size a year, and the gaps between the bones are getting smaller now. Over the next 10 years or so, all those gradually ossifying bone structures will fuse together into the 26 bones of the adult foot and finish growing all together. Finally, the world's at their feet. But it's here that the journey begins, with the biggest step of all. Your baby's feet will grow to reach almost half their adult size in the first year. It's a big moment when your child takes their first steps, but it's actually something they have been working on since the day they were born, and they will carry on working at it until they're well into their school years. In this section, we'll take you through the key stages of walking development, from crawling to cruising to wobbling to walking and beyond. The crawler. Once your baby has learnt to roll and sit, they'll be itching to move around, and before long they'll be crawling. Some babies are crawling at 6 months, but don't worry if your baby takes a few months longer. Experts say that children develop different skills at all sorts of different rates. There is nothing wrong with crawling a bit differently either. There is the traditional way, then the knee scoot, or even the bottom shuffle. But whatever way they choose, your baby can crawl over 400 metres in the time it takes you to drink a cup of tea. All that crawling helps strengthen their muscles and boost their confidence. Soon they'll be desperate to do even more. The cruiser. Before long, they will be grabbing onto anything and everything and pulling themselves up to standing. And once they're up on their feet and feeling steady, they'll start cruising. Sliding their hands along the edge of a sofa or table and taking one little sideways step at a time, sometimes just on their toes. Cruising babies love to feel and grip the ground with their feet. So let them go barefoot or put them in light and flexible cruising shoes. By the time they reach their first birthday, your baby's feet will probably have grown 3 whole shoe sizes. Then sometime between 9 and 18 months, they'll take their very first independent steps. The wobbly walker. Every child has their own little inbuilt walking timetable, so don't worry if your child takes longer than their friends. You will probably notice your little learner walker has a bit of a cowboy roll, all stiff legs, splayed feet and arms held out to the side. They may lurch about a bit or walk on their tiptoes. This is all beginner walking stuff. But ask your doctor or podiatrist if you have any concerns. A novice walker can take up to 180 steps a minute. That's 3 steps a second. The confident walker. By the age of 2, that wide stance has noticeably narrowed and their feet are pointing forwards. They no longer stick their arms out as their balance has improved and they are able to flex their knees and ankles. They are also developing quite a turn of speed. Between now and age 5, your child will start walking more like a grown-up. They'll lose the flat-footed toddler stomp and start developing the more complex adult heel-to-toe action. First, they put down the outside of their heel, then they transfer their weight forward along the outside of their foot until the front of their foot is touching the floor. Then they move the weight across their toes to the inside of their foot and push off into their next step. This can take a bit of time to master. Their feet might roll in or they'll look knock-kneed for a while. Feet are built to absorb shock. Every time they take a step, their foot hits the ground with a force that is twice their body weight. At this stage, it is important that they have light and flexible shoes. A good shoe fitter will know which shoes will fit their emerging foot shape best. The older child. By about the age of 5, your child's feet look much more like a smaller and plumper version of yours. All the right bones are in all the right places and arches are much more visible. Slowly, their strength and balance will improve. Even though your child is getting bigger and stronger, their feet are still very vulnerable. They'll need shoes that fit properly and are made well enough to gently support and protect their feet as they play in more vigorous and complicated ways. Shoes made from breathable materials are also important, as each foot has 250,000 sweat glands, and between them they can produce up to 1/4 litre of sweat a day. When should you buy your child's first shoes? What kind of shoes should you be looking for now and in the future? And how can you be really sure they'll fit their feet properly? In this section, we'll tell you all you need to know about choosing the right shoes for your child's feet. Crawling, cruising or walking, it's really up to you when you buy their first pair of shoes. The only thing that really matters is you choose good quality shoes, especially designed for each stage of development. Wearing shoes won't make your child walk any earlier, but wearing the wrong shoes could slow them down or hinder their development. Crawlers need lightweight shoes with soles that flex and provide plenty of all-round grip. Cruisers and wobbly walkers need shoes with more protection for their toes and heels. Stable shoes that are still light and flexible enough to let their feet feel the floor. Once your child is walking well, they can move on to sturdier shoes that will cushion, gently support and protect their increasingly agile feet. Look for shoes with adjustable fastenings and natural breathable material that will keep their feet cool. Of course, it's not just about the right kind of shoes, it's also about the right kind of fit. Shoes that don't fit correctly can rub, pinch or squeeze, or just not provide enough room for fast-growing feet. Look for a shoe shop that stocks a good range of children's shoes in plenty of different widths, full and half sizes, all with growing room built in. Look for shoes that are light and flexible and have the right kind of protection and support for your child's stage of development. And look for a shoe shop that has trained children's fitting specialists with lots of experience with kids. You can't tell whether a shoe fits correctly just by looking at it. A good shoe shop will have trained children's fitting specialists who will measure the length, width and depth of your child's foot with special foot gauges. They will check it with their fingers, touching it all around to ensure it's long enough, wide enough and deep enough, that it grips well enough to encourage healthy development, and that there's the correct amount of growing room. Get your child's feet checked regularly. At Shoes and Socks, we will do this free of charge and will never try to sell you shoes if your child doesn't need them. Your child was born with gorgeous little feet, and we'd like to help you keep them that way, even as they grow bigger and stronger and more active. This section is all about what you can do to look after your child's feet properly and make sure their shoes do it. It's good for babies and children to go barefoot. It lets your child feel the ground with their feet, and that can let them learn to walk more confidently. It also keeps them cool and lets them breathe. Pretty important when your foot has the highest concentration of sweat glands in your whole body. All little feet need their daily doses of TLC too. There is nothing tricky or complicated about it. It just boils down to these 3 simple tips. Keep their feet clean. Small feet need washing every day and drying thoroughly, especially between the toes to prevent chafing. Keep their toenails short. Trim your child's toenails regularly with nail scissors. Follow the line of the toes, but don't cut them too short or too close to the corners. Keep an eye on their socks and use socks made with 50% natural material and smooth seams, so they won't cause pressure points. And they should fit nice and snugly. Too tight or too loose and they could damage their foot. Of course, it's not just socks that can damage their feet. Shoes that are badly designed, not properly fitted, or made of poor quality materials can cause problems too, sometimes leading to blisters when shoes are too big or slippery, bunions when shoes are too narrow, corns when shoes are too tight, athlete's foot when shoe materials don't let the foot breathe, or nail conditions like ram's horn nail or ingrown toenails when shoes press in on the toes. They can also have a knock-on effect on the rest of their body, affecting their knees, hips and back. Always choose shoes that have been designed for your child's age and stage of development, and ask a trained shoe fitter to check they fit properly. At Shoes and Socks, we understand how children's feet grow, and with that in mind, we select shoes in all sorts of shapes and sizes and widths. We choose shoes made from natural materials, and we build in lots of growing room. And we make sure all our children's fitting specialists have the knowledge and training to find just the right fit for your child. With your love and care and our expertise, you can be sure your child's growing feet are in safe hands. A lifetime of healthy walking starts at Shoes and Socks. Find your nearest Shoes and Socks store at shoesandsocks.com.au.